Hi everyone, this is Elayne, and this is episode 3 of my series, Think, Dream, and Be Bigger. So, in the first episode, I talked about how my second bedroom in my place in Brooklyn serves as a home office, should serve as a home office. As you can see, it's a little bit cluttered in here. Behind me are some of the clothes that I'm selling on my website, shopchicrebellion.com, which is great, but it's all in my space, and it's crowded, and it's cluttered. Over here, you can't see them. That was how I framed this. Over here are some boxes that are dishes, actually, that were in storage that need to be put away somehow. Over here, you have some other boxes that are files, which are office worthy, but I need to go through them. They were in storage as well. So once I cleared out my storage space that I had for a few years in Brooklyn and brought it here to have everything in one place, it became crowded, it became cluttered. And this part of it is my fault that it stayed cluttered because I haven't gone through it. I just, as I mentioned in the first episode, have been putting stuff aside, not dealing with it, closing the door and saying I'll get to it later. But later is now. In fact, later is today, which is why I'm in a sweatshirt, because I'm going to go through this stuff today or go through a lot of it. And one of the things too that I want to mention is when you're going through things like this and have to go through, whatever it is, papers, as long as it's not anything that's too personal, you can ask for help. And that's what I've done. I've asked for help. So I have some people, my friend Miles, hey Miles, is going to come by eventually when I get everything together. At least that's my plan for him. He doesn't know that. But he's going to help me take stuff to the Salvation Army because a lot of the things that I have here can be donated as opposed to sitting in my office taking up space when I don't need them to take up space. So what I want to talk about, that's the background, but for this episode is the idea of clutter. Clutter as in what you can see here, clutter in your space and crowding your space, but clutter also with your business and how you have things just piled on with what you're doing. I know in my case, that's something I do in the, as it relates to new projects. So I have chicrebellion.tv, my baby, which I love and where most of my energy goes, but it needs to be where all of my energy goes. And what I mean by that is as a solopreneur and an idea person, I always think of other ideas or things I want to do that may still be related to the brand. So they're an extension of the brand, but they're not the core brand, which is where I need to focus and what I am committed now to focusing. What I do instead is think of a new project and want to start that new project right away because it's exciting, it's a great idea, it's something I think could be beneficial for the brand and more importantly for the audience that I love to serve, which is primarily women of color, but all women really. And I think about what I can do with that extension of the brand and how it can make an impact. But what I'm really doing, I've come to realize as I've been doing this assessment of how to think bigger, is just adding things on for the sake of adding things on and not thinking, you know what, let me get my core brand where I want it to be. I know that brand can be bigger, but it cannot be if I don't nurture it with my full attention. So instead, the clutter comes by way of a shopping site, which sort of just happened, wasn't even a plan. I mean, it was part of my plan down the line to sell merchandise like the sweatshirt, for example, but it wasn't my plan to launch a full out store, which I ended up doing because I had gotten such a great response when I posted a few things that I was selling at a stoop sale. Great idea, but that stuff takes work. And the entrepreneurs who sell clothing or have stores or online stores know it takes a lot of work and space to store things like clothes, which is not something that I want to do. So while that shop is still up and there's things still available there, I'm not going to put my attention there for now. Not doing it for now doesn't mean not doing it forever. That's another thing I came to realize too. It's just, I'm going to hold off on this because I have the ability to hold off on that. It's not something urgent. It's not core to my business until I get the core business where I want it to be, or at least closer to where I want it to be. Another thing that I did too is I recently, in response to so many negative images about Black girls in particular, how we're being abused, especially by authority, quote unquote authority, police and those kinds of things. I want to launch a children's site, a children's version of Chic Rebellion for Black girls called chicrebellion.tv, which is so cute. The logo is adorable. But, I'm very passionate about serving young girls and having them have a space to go to see a reflection of themselves, to be seen, heard, and celebrated, which is what my brand is all about in general. I can't do that right now, though. That's another thing that's a fantastic idea. It was always actually an idea I've had that domain forever. I'm the queen of domains. So it was always something that was in my mind, and this time felt like the time to do it, which it is a time to mention that this is a plan. And I believe mentioning it, the resources and different things will come in, and people have been very excited about working with me on it. But I can't do it right now. I just can't. Can't do it. Too much clutter. Got to move it to the side until later. Not putting it off forever, putting it off until the core brand is where it needs to be. So I challenge you to look at what things are clutter in your life. A friend of mine who works in marketing, a high executive in marketing, she calls it, when you're going after all these new projects or things, bobbing for shiny apples. You know, like if you have a bin and you're bobbing for apples. I don't know if anyone does that anymore, but I totally got the metaphor of bobbing for apples. So shiny apples. So when something new comes up, a new idea, you're going for that apple, and then you're going for the next apple, and you're going for the next apple. And many of us are guilty of that, especially if we're creative people. It's sort of the gift and the curse. You constantly have ideas, you constantly have things you want to do. And look, I'm not saying that if you change your direction of your business or you have something you think might be the best move right now that you shouldn't make that change. Of course, there's that, and you can certainly do that, and it's something to consider. Speaking for myself, that's not what it's been. It's been these great ideas that I have all at the same time, or around the same time, or within the same year, or whatever it is, and I want to do it all, but I simply cannot do it all with excellence. And that's the thing. We want to have our brands, our lives in excellence, our spaces in excellence. And you feel better about everything that you're doing when you feel like you have it in excellence. And that is my goal. This is one of the things on my to-do list, my 52 to-dos, to clear this space, to have it in excellence. Now there might still be files or little things here, but nothing is going to be in this space that I don't need. Nothing is going to be in this space, I'm looking around right now, that is not serving me or my business. But anyway, that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go through this space, and I'm going to go through things, as I just mentioned, some of the things with my business. What am I doing that's taking my focus away from my core brand of making chicrebellion.tv the most successful that it can be? Where are there distractions that I can omit? Sometimes things come up that you have to take care of, but what are the distractions? What are the things that I don't need to do right now? How can I get laser focused? Actually, the article that Oprah Winfrey in Fast Company was very good about this, being radically focused on the task at hand. For me, the task at hand is growing my business. For you, the task at hand might be something else, but are you radically focused on that? Do you have clutter or things in your life that are distracting you, as I said, from that thing? I would take an assessment of that and look at it, write it down. What are the things that are distractions, or that you see as distractions right now that you might get to later, or that you might say, I'm not gonna do that. I've done that too. Had other things that I say, you know what, that's not who I am. I've had people, this is a big thing too. People always suggest other things that you should be doing, like you should do this and you'd be great at that and you should do. For me, one of those things is being on camera, but this is for a different reason. You should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and you have to really look, should I do that? Is that really what I want to do? Does it feel like that's what I want to do? Will that make a difference in my business? Will that make a difference in my life? Is that something I want to try to just see if I want to do? These are all the questions you can ask yourself and then come up with your decision on whether or not you should do it. Last thing, shiny apples, social media. Being on every platform, for me, with my business, I figured out is not necessary. Certainly for me personally, because I just can't. I can't keep up. But with with your business also, looking at the social media platforms that you're on, where is your audience? Is your audience on Snapchat? Maybe. Nothing's wrong with Snapchat. It's fabulous. I don't use it just because my audience isn't necessarily there. My audience is more on Facebook and Twitter. I have the Pinterest, for example, but my audience isn't really on Pinterest. And when I say my audience isn't there, I'm saying looking at research and finding out where your audience is, both research from data companies and also research from looking at the response of your audience, where traffic, if you have an online company, is coming from. So social media also can be a shiny apple. Look at that to make an assessment where you're going to put your energy, even if you have accounts for all of those platforms, which I do because I need Chic Rebellion to be everywhere. But I don't necessarily put my attention, or the social media manager I work with, have her attention there on those platforms if that's not where our audience is right now. And that may change. But right now, shiny apples, we're not going to bob for those unless we really need them, unless they're nourishing the business, unless it makes sense. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Elayne Fluker, Elayne-Fluker. There's only one. And, leave in the comments, what are you going to do to clear clutter from your life or from your business? What are the things, or the things that you've already done? You might have some tips that'll help me. I can use the help. We'll stay in touch. Thank you, and I look forward to continuing to live big with you. Take care.